Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to Tennis Manager 24, episode 33. We have reached the end of the season, preparing to get into the new season. We've got that transition period of most of December before things light up, before we can do new staff signings, before we can really get into too many of the options. But we have our board contribution for the year, and it's better than expected. It's on the higher end. It's always in that 350 to 380 range, but it's 382, so it's pretty much the highest we've seen thus far, and it now gives us a positive balance of 369,000. Oh, wow, that is incredible. What a turnaround from the previous season. Speaking of turnaround, sports goals for the year. Well, okay, first off, Cross, Noel, Nava. All three of them were like a quarter of their goals for last year were good. 3/4 were not, so they were all upset already. So we've taken literally the worst, the lowest objectives that we could set, which really sets it up for, first off, they're mad right now, but they were already mad. So are we losing that much by making them slightly more mad? No. Not really. Taking advantage of that moment, setting the lowest goals that I could set. There was a couple pushbacks. There was a couple like, oh, hell no, I'm not going that low. Here's what my goal is going to be. And that hurts. I think Alexa Noel was one of the primary ones. I think she had a, no, I'm not settling for anything less than a top 100. That's going to make that a little bit harder. But Nava, Cross, and for the most part, the majority of their goals are set pretty low, that we have a better chance of achieving some of those and keeping morale higher in the coming season. King, I anticipated that, for one thing, she's progressing and doing well, and all in all should be on the up, not struggling. But we are going to get into some higher tournaments and bigger payouts, and you never know, right? She could level off. For the most part, her goals are, if we were to level off. There was no set it low. We kept her morale high for the most part. It's not perfect, but happy. And I think all four of them should have fairly achievable goals for the coming season. So first look, obviously the business center is where you can make money the best. The heliport looks like a really good target, but even then, actually, it's still only 20k of an increase, but we don't have the money for that one. We do just about have money for an upgrade or two in the business center, but they are not substantial in terms of the finances gained. So the traditional go-to of start with the business center and then get into everything else to make the finances better, well, that's not going to happen. We're going to have to go somewhere else. The medical center's usually been a good fallback, but let's see what our options are in the other three. The only option available in the Youth and Scouting Center that makes any sense that comes with finances are still paramount, right? We are not breaking even. We are largely in debt every month. I'd like to break even and then have winnings be the part that allows you to continue upgrading. So until we are in a break-even state, finances are first. They are paramount. The sports study program is the only one that makes any sense in the Youth and Scouting Center, especially with cost. 268k. I mean, obviously we can afford that. We would have 100 left. But even though it's a 16k increase, it's an 8k increase in cost. So it's only going to increase or improve our funding by 8k. And really, with quality of staff, notoriety of players being on the low side, it wouldn't be 8k. It's probably 6. So not making a big dent, but right now, at least for the business center and youth and scouting center, it's our top option. I think medical center is where it's going to be, so let's look at the scouts sports center first, and then fingers crossed, if there's nothing good there, that there will be something good in the medical center. Courts all have a chance to improve, but tiny improvement there, so probably not good. Paddle courts looks right now like a decent option, or the Play & Co. connected courts. That one, we don't have the finances for, so that option's out. There are two options here in the paddle courts and the weight room, really, especially with the low cost. So So 14K increase, 5K increase in cost means we're talking about 9K with a lower upfront cost. So this is moving into the lead. The paddle court's definitely number one. Small increase, 2.5K, but only 77K. Could afford to do both realistically, so there's a chance that the Sports Center, I think this is our best option thus far. And as expected, I think the Medical Center is where it's going to be. We're looking at two options here, the cold therapy room and the balneotherapy room. Both of them affordable, and both of them starting with a much higher earning. But what's the cost? Cold therapy easily moving into the lead, 11K increase for just 151,000. The balneotherapy is going to be a 16K increase. Comes with a pretty hefty cost, but 250,000. 16K obviously is the greatest increase, but the big question becomes, do you take the lesser and hope to increase enough at some stage to actually get both upgrades at some point during this season? Well, the bigger increase is going to push take the bigger increase. It's going to push up your level, your income over time. It's going to take 2 months to complete, but 16,000 seems the obvious way to go. It's going to make a big dent in our 60,000 monthly debt. It's an absolute rarity, but Alexa Noel has gained not 1 but 2 points, surf spin and counter to a 13 and a 12. Her underspin is also approaching a 12, but again, very small gains to make those things happen inch by inch. King, meanwhile, is still gaining rapidly compared to everybody else, but the off-season training method is heavy. It's rife with a lot of sessions, so I don't mess with it. Otherwise, the fatigue gets way too high, way too fast. But checking in briefly on all 4 of our athletes as we are getting into that later December, and the preseason training is going to start winding into regular season training here shortly. You can see we had 1 mental gain in those non-trainable attributes for King last season, and it was pretty early in the year, so I feel like she could be in for another one of those upgrades before too long. Physical has actually seen a pretty healthy upgrade of late, 318s right now. She's getting some +1s out there, so we are going to have to give some dedicated training, but the form is starting the season fairly high for her. She's got a number of attributes that are on the verge of leveling up yet again, but obviously the technical is still behind where it needs to be. We've got 112, we've got a few 11s, we've got a number of 10s. I want to get everything else to 10 plus as soon as possible. Cross, meanwhile, is definitely more well-rounded. She's still got a few 9s, but it's really, I'd say she's an 11 when it comes to her technical, but her physical is way behind. Her mental is way behind. She's on the verge of leveling up. I might want to throw in a little bit there. Her agility is also on the verge to try to get Cross up over that next mark. Noelle, 13s, a few. Lots of 12s. I'd say she's probably an 11 or a 12 technically. She's about a 12 physically, so she is a little bit ahead of Cross, and solid 14s average for the mentals. Form is also okay. Cross's form a little bit lower, especially on the technical side, but not too bad on her preseason preparations. Nava, though, yikes. Really bad form to start the season. In fact, we saw a big drop in physical average after the last injury. We're looking at maybe a 12 in the physicals, about a 12 in the mentals, and with a 16 for surf spin, which is definitely nice. I'd say about a 12 average on the technicals. Nava, Noelle, and Cross all into the qualifier for the Australian Open, while King straight in with a nice high ranking. December obviously is a non-money maker We just get the board injection and that's all. So when you enter January, you're going to lose a big chunk of money without any way to offset that, or at least until we have, neutral or positive balance. So we're down to 60K as we enter January. But here's the thing about entering with that 60K. We now have money to be able to invest in somebody who's going to help us with contracts going forward. So we do need to sign a new agent, as our old agent did retire. So now's the time to do that. Now that we've entered the new year, there's that period of time considered like an off season where nobody wants to sign anything staff wise or new athlete wise. Now we're into that window. So let's go find a new agent. We have a tentative agreement with a faceless Zhu, American level 3, so we're bumping up where we were at 12-13 on the communication and contract negotiation piece. There you go, negotiation. So roughly 16K for the bonus, 4,000 for the salary. It is going to cost us a little more, so it will increase us beyond that 16 or 60K just a little bit, but we're going to much more than offset that with the new facilities. And again, hopefully King continues to rise and play higher tournaments and increase those winnings even more than before, or at least stabilize where we were at the end of the season, which throughout the year will easily allow us to raise funds and slowly but surely add to infrastructure and not just have to wait for the first of the year and the injection, but have a positive balance. So we have a level 2 trainer who is set to retire. That man does not look 61 years old, but no worries about that part. I want to say that this is our physical trainer. Yeah, 2-star physical trainer, Jameson Gutierrez. So we'll need to replace him next season. As we go to enter our first tournament of the year, form improved, morale much better than it was, but not good. It's not rock bottom for these three. And physical condition, Alexa Noel has not been able to resolve the heavy training and get into form just yet, but hopefully she'll be okay. King enters the first tournament ranked 67th and a 5 seed, bumping up a level we haven't tried yet. We won a couple 80 level. We did poorly at 250. This is the level in between. We have yet to attempt this level. Our early season form or early season selections besides our slams is going to be at this level for Martina King. Our opening match is easy, and we open the season with a very close victory, 7-5, 7-5. Nava also wins his opener. Cross loses her opener. Balanced, but should advance for the second round. This one much more comfortable, 6-1, 6-3. 2/3 of the points were ours. Huge advantage in winners, and kind of across the board. We influenced the game completely. +5 in forced errors, actually a -1 in unforced errors. Our opponent really didn't do much. Noel and Nava also winning in the second round, so good start to the season. Quarterfinal, the 1 seed gets knocked out. Shushuan by 153rd. We're looking at decent matchups. Kayla Day, though, could be tough. Plenty of ranked opponents for a potential finals match. Not an easy semifinal, but this quarterfinal looks pretty doable. Prize money for this level quarterfinal is already looking at 21,000. Of course, roughly half of that would be our cut. Semifinal would get us at 16K already. So yeah, we're looking pretty dang good. And points, quarterfinals 29, semifinals 57. Good hauls, and it seems like this is probably going to be a good tier for us. It's competitive. We're not coming in as 1 seed. We've got a good chance to earn some money. We've got a good chance to get multiple wins before you get knocked out. I think this is probably a good starting point for us this year. Balanced, but should advance. 3 sets, but we do. -3 on winners, but we kept it much cleaner with a +8 on unforced errors and a +3 on forced errors. Noel knocked out in the quarterfinals, as is Nava. but that's a decent start for them. 3,500 and 1,000. Semifinal opponent, Lauren Davis, a wild card at 184. Definitely the easier of the four that remain, so we've lucked out. The 8 seed, Peyton Stearns, remains. She's 85th. Weak serve, weak net play, good return forehand, backhand, but not very good court coverage. So even though she can play the ball decently, she's not going to cover much ground. This should be a good one for us. Balanced, but should advance. First time we've played each other. And it took 3 sets because the first 2 sets each went to tiebreakers. We just lose the first, we just win the second, and then we crush her in the third, 6-1. 54% of the overall points, 251 to get through this thing, an advantage of a plus 13 in total winners, plus 1 in unforced errors, each making a fair number of mistakes, but over 251 points played. That's 10% of the time each that they made a mistake. Forced errors plus 5, the total winners being the advantage in this one, and service errors, double faults, a dozen of them. Lauren Davis apparently being aggressive with her serves, with her second serves at least. And so even though we only played twice at the tier below this, starting this year at this level, seems to be a good decision. We've already made the final of our first one, win or lose. It's going to be a good payout, right? We're looking at 50K or 25 for losing the final. We're looking at a good 37K or so to win. So bigger payouts than what we were getting a year ago. Points are also 95 or 160. Peyton Stearns will not be easy. Yeah, much more well-rounded player. Good serve, good return, good forehand, decent backhand. Not great court coverage though. Not very aggressive either, and not terribly consistent, and definitely not good net play. That gives us a chance, though on paper Stearns is the better player. Remember, right now we have a lot of artificial boost to our rank, just as we did in the juniors when we were like 17, right? By 18 we belonged there. At 17, playing lower tournaments and winning consistently gave us points that we wouldn't otherwise have. We're in that situation now in the seniors as we begin this year. We flew through the rankings last year, just climbed and climbed and climbed. Now we've stepped up the level, and we're starting to come up against opposition who are in the top 100 on merit. We're in the top 100 somewhat artificially. We're a good player. We're probably not a top 100 player just yet. We've won some matches against top 100s, and having form, getting that boost, helps you. We've got a good tactic that gets the best out of our player. But now we've got to get there, right? Technically, we're not there yet. We've improved a lot. Our average is definitely 10 plus, and when you add in the form, it's a 12 plus. That's okay. But the physical and mental carry us. We've got to get from okay to actually be good, to really be consistent in the top 100, which is why I wouldn't be surprised if we lose this match. But looking at the web for Peyton Stearns, we've got a chance. Basically, she's one who's technically pretty good, but not aggressive, not very good physically, and that's going to give us a chance. We're going to have to be able to not give up too many aces. King begins this final without confidence. She's troubled, she's worried. Our pregame talk, which I have a maximum rating in, did not go down well with her, and she's scared. And big mistake on that first point. But let's speed it up. It's a new season, new opportunities, a new level. Because I know I've got some of that in the fridge downstairs. We get broke in the third game, so we now trail 2-1. And when you add the mentality issues, I do worry about King's chance of winning today. Fatigue-wise, we're looking good. I mean, we're already 4 games in, but trailing 3 games, but 4 games in, and we are still well above 90%. Meanwhile, Stearns is very much not, but at 75%, unless we're pushing deep into 3 close sets, I don't think she's going to be suffering much of a penalty in regards to accuracy. I don't think she's going to drop below that 50% too soon. But at the moment in this first set, it is dropping at a decent rate. I mean, she's not that far off from 50%. So maybe before the end of the second set, we'll see her start to suffer that penalty and give us a bit of an advantage, which we're going to need. And we're going to need some success if we're going to get the mentality right, because it's not there. What do we need though? Motivation? What can we do to... We still can't even... Okay, we'll ask to talk at the end of the first set, because the end of the first set's coming soon. If we break her here, we do. It's back to 5 games all. That was a big moment for us to have a chance in this first set. Oh, looking good. Chance to break. It's set point. It's set point. We have come from behind. Yikes. Ball was behind us, and we somehow hit it with the forehand. Oh, and she sails it. Oh, that's a steal. That is a steal. We were on the back foot for this first set. Mentally, we were not in good shape. And that worked out. Relaxation or motivation, we definitely want to talk. There you go. Don't rush. You got all the time in the world. She is getting angry. That's emotion, which was unfazed, so I suppose that helps. But mentality is still not great. But now self-assured, still unfazed, still troubled, still concerned. It's not great. It's not great, but anxious, concerned, troubled, and then just enthusiastic. So both are suffering a bit mentally in this game. It could flip in an instant based on the mentals, but if we can get this first game, at least get this set started right, that could have been an easy winner if we went down that sideline. She was not prepared to get over there, but apparently we weren't prepared to put it over there with any accuracy or power. Oof, just reached that one, but gave up the easy one the opposite direction. Okay, 30-15. We do get that first game, though. And the second, we break her right away. That's a fantastic start. 3 games, love. 4 games. We break her again. 5 games. We're going to win. We're going to win this final. It's match point, 40-15. She's still above 50, just barely. Oh, wow. That was not a lob, but it had a little height to it, and it just slips up and over her racket and hits the back line. Maybe she didn't hit it because she thought it was going out, but that had enough topspin on it to come down and just hit the back of the line. What a great winner to end the match and get the victory, our first at this level, the new highest tier victory that we have been able to achieve with King. I think now the second highest or equal to the highest victory the team has ever secured. 7-5-6-1. Big payout, 36,705, and just like that, we have 101,000. And January has just started, and we've got a lot of things coming. There's 2 upgrades that we can get after. One that costs less, but the payout's really small. With this kind of payout, and knowing that all 4 are going to at least participate in a qualifier for the Australian Open and King in the tournament proper, the payouts from that should put us very quickly into that territory to... We're getting the Balneo, right? The other therapy room. And our new agent has agreed, so we're going to sign that contract. That does immediately tick us down to 85,000. It's going to take a little bit longer to get there, but that's okay. We're already looking good. Just 34K in debt this month, even with that payment. Same level, a 125 and a 125. So that does match Nava's biggest win from last year. I think he only won twice all year, but one of them was a 125. We have now matched that with Martina King, and when you add the ranking part to this, which apparently is up to 55th at the moment, King is now the best player we've ever had at the team officially. Winnings, ranking, prize money, all of the above. This is the week of the qualifiers for the 3 athletes not named Martina King. That means they're going to pick up a little bit later in the week here. We'll see how they do. You got to get through 3 qualifier rounds. Cross, out. Noel, out. Nava gets through the first. Nava gets through the second. Will Nava qualify? He's got 1 more to go. Nava gets through the third. So 2 athletes make tournament proper. 2 first qualifying round exits still pay decently well. Cross, 11,000 for a 47% payout. Noel's less, it's 22%, so 5,000. But that's 16K, that's already paying off the agent's bonus, the signing bonus. So we're back up to 102K. We now have 2 athletes in tournament proper who are going to get a pretty healthy payout for that. Let's get to our very first Grand Slam for Martina King. We will play this one live. But we're going to do that next time. That is our season begun, and we're into the Australian Open, a Grand Slam with a 55th ranked player in Martina King, who is coming off a victory at the highest level she's ever. Great start to the season, and not too bad for the other 3 as well. Looking good to start the season. Finances are off to a really good start. We're already guaranteed a positive balance for January, based on what King will do, based on what Nava will do, as both are in the tournament. Either one of them will easily exceed the positive balance, and then we'll have quite a bit from that point once you add in the second one, even if they both lose in the first round. So great start, but let's see what they can do in the Australian Open. It's the round of 128. Got a long ways to go yet. That's going to do it for this episode. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.